Hello and welcome to Academic Word List 4. We're going to follow the same pattern here where I pronounce the word normally, overpronounce it, maybe give you some indications about things to be concerned about, and then give you the standard normal pronunciation of the word again so that you can practice it. So let's get started. Access, access, access. Adequate, adequate, adequate. Annual, annual, annual. Apparent, apparent, apparent. This word has an adjective and a verb form, and it is done by pattern 2, where the stress doesn't move, but the ending changes. So we've got approximate and approximate. So if you're using it as an adjective, it's an approximate. If you're using it as a verb, you are approximate, to approximate. Attitude, attitude. So that first T, it almost sounds like a D because it's just a d sound. Attitude. So this word has a noun and a verb form, which means that the stress is moving. It's pattern 1. The stress is moving, but because the stress moves, something funny happens to that first sound. So as a noun, it's an attribute, a tense sound. As a verb, it's attribute. So it goes from to You can see if you're looking at my mouth, There's not a lot of movement there. There's not a lot of difference because it's just a matter of how tight my jaw muscle is. Attribute is tight. Is relaxed. So attribute, attribute. Civil, civil, civil. Code, code, code. So it's a sound in the middle of O. Code. Commit, commit, commit. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Concentrate, concentrate, concentrate. Confer, confer, confer. This word has a noun and a verb form, and it follows pattern 1, so the stress moves. So that's what you need to think about here. As a noun, it is contrast, contrast. As a verb, it is contrast, contrast. So noun, contrast. Verb, contrast. Cycle, cycle. This is another one of those special words that has 2 C's in it that are pronounced differently. You cannot trust spelling in American English. Debate, debate, debate. Despite, despite. So there's A and there's I. This one is I, despite. Dimension, dimension, dimension. Domestic, domestic, domestic. Emerge, emerge, emerge. Error, 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 error. Ethnic, ethnic, ethnic. Goal, goal, goal. Grant, grant, ran, So big mouth, ah. Grant. Hence. 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 Hypothesis. 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 So this is a word that has a noun and a verb form. It follows pattern 2. And pattern 2 is when the stress does not move, but the ending syllable is pronounced differently depending on whether it's being used as a noun or a verb. So as a noun, it's implement. As a verb, it's implement. Meant. It's very, very, you have to listen closely to tell it apart. Native speakers can because we're used to hearing it. So this is something that you're going to want to practice using it in different ways. Implicate. 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 Impose. Impose. Integrate. 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 You may also hear, because there's a T in the middle of that word, you may also hear integrate, and the T disappears. So an integrate is something you might hear. Integrate is a more correct pronunciation, I guess. Internal. Internal. This T actually has to be there because if you say internal, nobody's gonna understand what you're saying. Internal. So that T actually does need to be there. Internal. Investigate. 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 Job. Aw. Job. It's an aw sound that you kind of hear. Aw. You kind of hear. Feel it back there. Label. Label. Oh. Label. Mechanism. Mechanism. Make sure that you're getting those ending sounds on these words because if you say mechan, nobody knows what you're talking about. So, mechanism. Obvious. 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 Occupy. Occupy. So that k is not aspirated, but it's it's kind of a stop for the O. Occupy. Option. Again, that P is not aspirated. Option. Output. Output. Notice that the T on out is not being aspirated there. Output. You could say output, but then it sounds like you're stressing it and it may confuse meaning. So if you get in the habit of just unaspirating that T in the middle, I think you're going to be a little more easily understood. Output. Overall. 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 Parallel. 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 Parameter. Parameter. Phase. So, phase. Predict. 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 Predict sounds wrong, so try and make sure that you get that t on the end. Predict. Principle. 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 Prior. 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 Professional. 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 This word has two forms, noun and verb, and it follows pattern 1, so the stress moves depending on how it is being used in the sentence. So as a noun, it's a project. You're doing a project. As a verb, it's to project. When I have to speak loudly, I have to project my voice. I have to project something onto a screen. So project and project. Promote. Promote. Regime. Regime. You may also hear regime, but I think it's more common in American English to hear regime. Resolve. Resolve. Retain. 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 You may also hear retain. It's interchangeable. There's no difference in the meaning. Series. Series. Now make sure that you're getting that, or just a slight, it's not a emphasized series, it's just series. It's just a light sound, but it needs to be on the end. Make sure that you're not missing that ending sound. Statistic. 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 Status. 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 And that T in the middle is just a flap T. It's not a T. It's a T. Status. Stress. Stress. Shockingly actually pronounced the way it's spelled. Stress. Subsequent. 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 Summary. So you've got that sound in there again. Summary, and the Y is pronounced as an E sound on the end. Undertake. 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 Okay, so this is the end of list 4. If you need more, there are videos on the other word lists where I talk about how to pronounce them. There are books on each of the word lists that give you a lot more in-depth information. It will enable you to learn a lot more words because you're not just learning the individual word, you're learning the words that are related to it in the word family. There's also words that are synonyms of those words, and there's activities for you to do within those books. There's also an activity book that will give you some further practice on all the words in the academic word list. There are some other books that I am working on that are on related lists, and you can contact me if you would like individual tutoring. So let me know, and I know you're going to do great at this. It's just going to require some practice, but you'll be wonderful. See you next time.